Saturday morning. What is going on? It is playoff time, boys. Can you smell it in the air? It is playoff time.
Breathing that playoff football.
Breathe it. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hold on. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Only one of us could breathe in playoff football because one of our teams are in the playoffs. You two minions can stand to the side and just watch. While the real teams get to play extra football.
We're going
congratulations.
real quick here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, congratulations on your one extra week of football after you lose to the Bills.
No, that's not how this is going to work. That's not how this is going to work at all.
Yes.
Please allow me 1 second as I let the master of the house out of the cage. Okay. My
Who, Robbins?
I hope when she watches this, she realizes you just said that. Yeah. So it's
So Saturday morning, Joe. Let's talk about some NFL stuff going on.
I mean, right now I think the talk is Deshaun Watson. Like, where is he going to end up? He's pissed. He asked him one simple request. I mean, Billy, I know you put a poll up, basically saying like, does he have the right or anything to be pissed? I think he's got like a little bit of a leg to stand on. I mean, you're the franchise quarterback, okay? I'm not saying that his word is be all end all, but I think that he should have some sort of input into the hiring of the next coach. I know he wants Bieniemy from KC. I'm still not sold on this guy. I know that Bieniemy is kind of like he's the hot name right now. Everyone is trying to get Bieniemy to come in and whatnot. Here's my thing: unless there's this new rule that the offensive coordinator comes with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce. Any offensive coordinator is going to look good with those three, to have the offense as your quarterback, tight end, and wide receiver. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from him. I think great. Sure, he's talented, but are you guys buying into Bieniemy as much as everyone else is?
No, I'm not, and I've been saying this since last week. I don't, for the same reasons. This guy looks great coaching Andy Reid's offense with three of the best players in the NFL leading the way. He has not shown me anything yet to convince me that he's going to be an upgrade over Adam Gase at this point in time. I think
that's rough. That's a little rough. That's a little rough.
It's not. Because what has he done on his own to prove that point yet? I think he has an excellent chance to do it, but he hasn't done anything. I believe that Eric Bieniemy is going to be a good head coach in the right situation. Eric Bieniemy's not going to go into a team like the Jets that need a total rebuild. No, I don't think Eric Bieniemy's a guy for the Jets. A team like Houston, if they can get past this Watson issue, a team possibly like Jacksonville, who's going to bring in a new quarterback and who has the offensive pieces in place. The Chargers. He could go there and he could probably be successful.
Listen, I know, again, someone posted, I think it was Alex Prell, he posted up a poll and basically said, if you're a head coach or a GM, and he listed five, six teams, and kind of their capital and everything, and said, who do you think is the best fit? I know Fred Wande was not happy that everyone and their mother said the Chargers, but how can you not? You seem to have your franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. You have an absolute beast in Keenan Allen. You have Austin Eckler, Justin Jackson in the backfield. You got
Williams.
You got Mike Williams. You got Bosa. You got a lot of talent on that team. And we've been saying it for weeks. I thought they're one of the worst coach teams in the NFL, and thankfully Anthony Lynn, finally got the boot. He was relieved of his duties, but it's it is what it is. I mean, here's my thing. I think Bieniemy. You want to talk about a perfect situation. I think the Texans would probably present the closest thing to a perfect situation for him because he has the most important piece locked up in Deshaun Watson.
Well,
And-
the debatable point right there is Deshaun Watson still locked up? I believe that the Texans are going to do everything they can to keep Deshaun Watson there. But, I mean, you got to be thinking right now, there's probably 8 to 10 teams easily, including quite a few playing this weekend, that would probably make offers if Deshaun Watson was available. I mean, Joe, your Colts. You know, if
You know what?
might not come back.
You listen,
They got to be interested if a guy like Deshaun Watson goes on.
100%. But
Yeah.
realistically, yeah, I would love to have Deshaun Watson. Reputable. I still miss this guy, number 12.
Absolutely.
If he only had an offensive line, this guy would still be playing this weekend.
Exactly.
But that's besides the point. You're trying to figure out who 12 is, in case you were wondering.
Andrew Luck.
I mean,
Yeah, we know. Yeah, he retired. He retired 2 years ago, Joe. Get over it.
Yeah, whatever. I'll never. I couldn't find my Peyton Manning jersey. Otherwise, I'd be wearing that one. Anyway, listen. My thing is that I don't think we have the draft capital in order to get him, and I really, really don't see. I don't see Houston trading someone like Deshaun Watson within the division.
I'm not talking about if you have it right now. I'm talking about everybody's going to take a shot, and if you
have to.
you're
You have
out of your
to.
mind.
You have to.
Washington's going to take a shot because
I think
they're
the team.
not going into
Listen,
their future with Alex Smith. This to me, I think this should be it for Alex Smith. I think he should leave with his health. What he did is phenomenal. I think Washington moves on after this year with a new quarterback, and Alex Smith retires and gets the send-off he so rightfully is deserved.
Yeah,
You also have
absolutely.
the Bears.
I don't listen. The Bears just make stupid mistakes. Listen. The Bears have more of a chance of going to sign Carson Wentz or trading for Carson Wentz than they do for try. You got to also remember. Listen, I get it. Deshaun Watson is in my opinion, okay, and I know probably people are going to go crazy when I say this. I think he's the 4th best quarterback in the NFL. Okay, behind Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen. There's Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson had he had Will Fuller for a majority, 10 weeks of the season, but he led.
He was still number one in passing
yards. The guy went nuts. He broke 300 yards almost every game.
The guy was phenomenal.
He's insane.
His wide receivers, he lost DeAndre Hopkins. The rest of his receivers can't stay healthy, out of trouble, and everything else.
Listen, the team that's going to get him is going to be Jeff Scarola's Dolphins.
Why are we not including the Jets in this too? Why are not the Jets not a possible argument for this?
You kind of just took my thunder on that one because I believe if he goes anywhere, it's going to be to our true to New York Jets.
I don't believe so.
The Jets have the capital to offer. The Jets can turn around. You know what? I don't agree with Bieniemy as the coach, but you know what? If you told me you're bringing in Bieniemy and Deshaun Watson, you know what? That sways me in that way a little bit. That I like a building block right there of Bieniemy and Deshaun Watson together. And if that's what it takes to make him happy and bring him here, I do it. The Jets. I agree. And the Jets can still recoup some of that capital, possibly trade Sam Darnold to a different team and recoup a second, third round pick, or include him in the Watson trade if the Texans wish.
But that's the whole thing is that any team for the most part. I mean, like I said, I had this discussion today at work, and I was under the I still am. I believe that the Dolphins have the best situation basically in terms of draft capital and stuff like that in order to trade. You give the Texans back their number 3 pick, which is technically theirs. Okay, you give them Tua. You ship Tua out and you go and my boss turned around to me and was like, if you look at Josh Allen, you look at Baker Mayfield, you look at that whole class. Okay, their first year they didn't have a great year. He goes, why are you giving up so early on Tua? And I said, it's not that I'm giving up on Tua. I said, and I spoke to him. I said, listen, you're a baseball fan, right? I said, if someone offered you the Los Angeles Angels called you and said, I'll trade you Mike Trout for Clint Frazier, are you going to make that trade?
In a heartbeat.
I said 100 times out of 100. I said because you know what you're getting in Mike Trout. Am I saying that Clint Frazier is not a good player? No. But he's going to possibly build to that, where you know what you're getting out of
the upper echelon. It's a completely different game. Everything's on the table. You know what? Lou and I are Giant fans. If you told me our first round pick and Jones gets it done, I'm sorry. No offense to Daniel Jones. I'm taking Deshaun Watson in that trade every
100%.
day of the week.
100%.
You know,
you can't not pass.
There's not a team out there. There's not a team out there really. Easily the Saints should be making a call on this after this year, because I believe, and we're going to get into this with our picks later, but I believe this is the last game of Drew Brees' career this weekend.
Right.
And
wait, not to give away your pick.
You're not. Hey, you know what? We're here. We're doing this. This is how we do it. We go in. And we're getting to the bottom of this. And Taysom Hill ain't the answer in New Orleans. I'm telling you that right now. And I don't care.
Hill has to stay the way he's been in that utility role where you don't know what he's going to do.
You're also not running him in that utility role with Deshaun Watson. That utility
No.
You're not taking Deshaun Watson off the field, the 25-year-old who can run the ball better than Taysom Hill. You know, he's not playing that role in a Deshaun Watson offense.
No, listen, you know what? And there's so many storylines, guys, that are going on this week. You know, obviously you have the playoffs. You know, you have the Deshaun Watson. You have the Urban Meyer. You have all of the coaching changes. You know, Mike Nolan fired today after, which seems to be an overstayed welcome in Dallas. A lot of storylines and whatnot. But the real storyline, like I said, is this weekend.
NFL playoffs.
It starts today. 1:00. Okay, you already know what time it is. You know what game is first, and what I believe is going to be the game of the weekend. I believe that this game deserved the prime time. I believe this game should have been the 8:00 game. There is no way you're telling me that Washington football team and the Bucks or Steelers Browns are a better matchup than the 1:00 game on Saturday, which is going to be the Colts versus the Bills.
Absolutely, and I'm going to give you a spoiler of this segment right now. This is the last time during it you're going to hear me and Joe agree.
Yeah. Right. No, I agree. Listen, this is going to be a very interesting game, right? And who is the moderator for this game?
That'd be you.
Perfect. So, sorry. There's so many different things that we're doing. No, because I was waiting for the thing to pop up at the bottom of the screen. Yeah. So, 1:00 game Saturday, we have the Indianapolis Colts versus the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. The spread is -6. Who has the Colts? Obviously, Joe, you have the Colts. You're the underdog this game. Joe, tell us, why do you think the Indianapolis Colts are going to win this football game?
I'm not going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you how they're going to win this game. There's 3 things that they need to do, okay? The first one is the easy one. It's keep Josh Allen off the field, okay? You're talking about a Colts team that ranks in the top 10 in both passing, rushing offense, passing, rushing defense. Okay? Over the last, second half of the season, only 2 running backs have had more yards than Jonathan Taylor. Okay? That's going to be Mr. 2000 himself, Derrick Henry, and Dalvin Cook. Those are the only 2. This kid has really come into his own. He's taken so much pressure off of Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers' first half of the year wasn't, growing pains. We've spoken about it. He had a lot of growing pains, but now second half of the season, he's turned it around. 14 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Raised his passer rating. That leads me into the next point for the Colts. They have to play clean football. Okay, no turnovers. Have to take your shots where you got them, but no turnovers. And lastly, you have to, and this is where I think the Colts have a huge advantage, okay? They have to score in the red zone. Obviously, they're going to score in the end zone. They're going to have to score in the red zone, okay? The defense for the Bills struggle mightily in the red zone, okay? Field goals, I'm sitting here as a Colts fan, but I'm not sitting here like overconfident and whatnot. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than Vegas has it been. This is only the second time the Colts have been an underdog all season. This is the only time. The only other time they were an underdog was to the Cleveland Browns back in when Cleveland was on that run. And actually, when you started the game the Colts were the favorites, and it switched obviously, by game time. I think that obviously this is going to be a high scoring game. I think, but I think that with the in terms of the front four with DeForest Buckner, Justin Houston, Autry, the linebackers led by Darius Leonard, great. We are going to miss Rock Ya-Sin in the secondary. The secondary. That's our big weakness right now. Is going to be the long pass. We're giving up almost 50% completion on the deep pass, and we just to clean it up. But I think the main thing is going to be keeping Josh Allen, just like any solid offense. And my dog agrees with me. Potter he just barked in jubilation that I made a good point. They want to keep Josh Allen off of the field. I think that's the only way that this game goes for the Colts. But I'm rooting for him hard, man. But Billy, I know you're going to disagree with me hardcore. I know that you're covering the Bills, so the floor is yours.
That's all right. I am covering the Bills, and I'm going to bring this one home for the Bills Mafia. Very simple. The number one advantage the Buffalo Bills will have today, home field advantage. Fans are back in the stadium. It's only 6,700, but we're going to see how loud those 6,700 people are going to be. And I know plenty of Buffalo Bill fans, plenty of them are watching us right now. I know how hard they go at these games and how loud that stadium will be today. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, they're playing MVP level football right now. I mean, these guys, I think they're both going to be in the top 5 in the MVP voting when the season comes to an end, and rightfully so. They've been out there. They've been nothing short of incredible. They're getting it done time and time again. The passing offense, the Bills, they have to exploit the Colts' weakness, which is the long pass. The Bills are 4th in the NFL of passes of 20 yards or more. They have to take advantage of that today. That is the only way they're going to win this game. Third down conversions, that's the key in this game. The Colts are 19th in the NFL, allowing almost 50% of third down conversions, as Joe already alluded to. And the Bills' offense, though, is first in third down conversions at almost 50% converted. That is going to be the key matchup and a key to Buffalo's winning the game today. The Bills have to be better in the red zone. They're 20th in the NFL, their offense. They got to score points, because if you don't score points, this Colts team will hurt you. Make your rushing attempts count against the best rush defense in the NFL.
6 straight games without letting a 100-yard rusher.
That's right.
With the last time, so if they hit 7, last time they did that was in the 60s. So it's been a while. See, Potter is ready to go. He is Colts ready. He's got his jersey on. Hear him? He's telling you, Lou, you lose. All right, but we're gonna move on to the second. I don't know. Just he knows you're a Giants fan. So listen, here we go. We're gonna go into the next one, Billy. Let's set up the game. We're gonna head up to Seattle. Yep, Bill.
All right, we have the number 6 LA Rams traveling to Seattle to meet number 3 Seattle in a matchup of two coaches that are very familiar with each other. Sean McVay and Pete Carroll have met 9 times in the last few years, with McVay holding the advantage. We're going to head us off now, and we're going to start with Lou and the Rams.
All right, guys. So our Los Angeles Rams have been very, very, very up and down the last couple of weeks. Joff didn't play last week. We also don't know if Joff is even going to be playing tomorrow. So that is questionable. So we're going to find out. That's obviously going to play a huge part in the LA Rams against the Seattle Seahawks. Listen, the Rams have had 2 different types of faces. They've had the face where they've beaten the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and they look like a Super Bowl contender team. And then they've had the face where they've lost to the New York Jets in a very horrible matchup, okay? So if Joff does play, it is really going to be up to him and one of the best 1-2 combos that you have in the league, honestly, in Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, all right? You have 3 running backs in Henderson, in Malcolm Floyd, and in Akers, and Malcolm Brown and in Akers. And this team, it could be one of the more complete teams in the NFL, but Joff has really got to stop. Has got to show why he brought this team to a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. And not only that, the Rams defense have really got to step it up too, all right? Like, Arnold and the team have to. I think in order to beat the Seahawks team, Seahawks the first couple of games of the year were passing for over 300 to 350 yards almost every single game when Russell Wilson was considered that MVP those first couple of weeks. If we see the Rams shut that down, and we see the Rams shut down Chris Carson as well, it could be a very interesting game as long as Joff is playing Joff football like he did when he went to the Super Bowl with the Patriots. So it's going to be a really interesting game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. But the main thing right now is Joff going to be playing? So I think that's going to be the main thing that throws up into everything in my honest opinion. So if Joff plays, I think this team has a legitimate chance. If not, you're putting an inexperienced quarterback in to replace him. It's going to be really tough, in my opinion, like I said, if Joff doesn't play.
All right. So I'm going to quote one of our newer shows, okay? I'm going to just bring myself up here really quickly because I'm going to be covering the Seahawks. But I'm going to quote one of our newer shows that'll be coming to the True to NY Sports Network when I say this.
Nice try.
Okay? I'm just gonna leave that right there. Okay, nice try. First off, it's Jared Goff, not Joff. I don't know who Joff is.
Oh, you shut up! You stop! You know what I'm talking about. Shut up.
Go on ESPN and say Joff.
Okay, but we're not on ESPN.
Well, we might be one day. It's Goff. Jared Goff.
All right, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. Anyway,
Seattle Seahawks.
Listen to me. I here. This one actually was really difficult for me. We've spoken about it. Seattle has been flat. Seattle has gotten away from, for some reason they're not getting the ball in the open to Metcalf and to Lockett. Their defense has been porous. They've been playing down. They've been playing down to their competition. Perfect example is last week. Against the San Francisco 49ers, the Seahawks had everything to play for. The 49ers had nothing to play for, and that game was far closer than it should have been. But here are a couple things that I'm looking at right now in terms of why this game is going to happen. I think Metcalf goes off this game. I think that the secondary, led by Jalen Ramsey, has been playing well, but for some reason, when the playoffs start, Russell Wilson turns on that extra notch. He knows how to turn it up. Listen, I know they're home. I know the 12th man isn't really there. I don't believe they're going to be allowing fans like they are at Buffalo. But Seattle is always a tough place to play. That stadium was scientifically designed to have every disadvantage to the visiting team and every advantage to the home team. I know that McVay, like Billy alluded to, McVay kind of leads the series in these guys. But I just don't trust Jared Goff in this situation. I think it's a miss. Yeah, that guy. I don't know. He's going to play like Joff. Okay, I think they're rushing him back from the surgery. I think Walford was he did not play terribly last week. He got the win in a big game. That was a winner in. That was a big place for him. A lot of people didn't know who Walford was. Had great stats in the AAF. If you haven't seen him, definitely go check him out in the AAF. He was definitely a very well-versed quarterback. I think that he would have been suitable enough to get the Rams the win. I think starting Goff. I almost said Joff. Starting Goff is going to play into our favor for the Seahawks. They need to rev up the pressure, run up the middle. Load up the box. Let Goff beat you. I want to see him prove that he can beat you, which I don't think he can. I think Seattle wins this one in pretty convincing fashion actually this week. I really, really do. We'll get to that a little bit later on. I didn't mean to spoil my pick, but I think that Seattle right now, although have been really dormant, I question as to be if they were dormant because they already knew what they had and they were already locked into the playoffs, or were there struggles that needed to be worked on. I'm thinking it was the first option, not the second one. But in terms of that, we're gonna go down to Sunday night. Okay, Lou, you lead us into this.
Yes.
Yeah, the moderator. Yes.
So Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, even though that's spelt weird, the Buccaneers are Tom Brady.
Used to seeing the Bucks.
Right, that's what I know. That's what I'm saying. It looks really weird. So Tom Brady makes his first playoff appearance with a new team in the history of his career against a Alex Smith and very, very sad, crying story team of a Washington football team. I mean, what a crazy year it's been for Washington football team, and now they're in the playoffs with a 7-9 record. Tampa Bay Buccaneers the Washington football team hosts the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Tampa Bay is giving this team 8.5 points. So, Mr. Joe Algieri, why don't you start since
No, we're gonna go with Billy. He's the away team.
Okay, fine, that's fine. Billy, you're the away team. Talk us why the Buccaneers are winning this game today.
We're gonna make this real simple. Tom Brady. Tom Brady for the last month has been on a mission. That man, something clicked in him, and he's brought back the Tom Brady from 10 years ago. And with the weapons at Tom Brady's disposal, Ronald Jones, Mike Evans should be good to go. Godwin, Antonio Brown, who's been killing it with 4 touchdowns in the last 3 games, and Gronk. You got to account for all of them at all times. I know Washington has one of the best pass defenses in the NFL. They're going to need to play the best game they've played all year, and I don't think they have it in them. And I'll tell you one guy to be very careful for. Remember when Tom Brady was in Tampa and it was in New England, and it was the playoffs, and Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, they'd bring LeGarrette Blount out of any, and all of a sudden it would be the LeGarrette Blount show. Watch Ronald Jones take that role and run with it. And if he doesn't do it, they have a guy by the name of Leonard Fournette who will pound the ball in the end zone as well. The Tampa Bay has the best run defense in the NFL, and they are going to make Alex Smith have to throw the ball to win this game. And while Alex Smith's been a remarkable story, I don't think he has it in him. I do not think he has it in him to go out there in this playoff game and beat the Tampa Bay Bucs. Joe, there's nothing left to say here. I'm going to turn it over to you.
You are forgetting one thing. I'm gonna. It actually.
You also forget that Joe has loves the Washington football team.
I'm gonna say something that I can't even believe. I can't even believe I'm about to say. Okay. I want you guys are both Giants fans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Over the last however many years, who's the one team that's had Tom Brady's number?
Giants.
Giants. And what was the main reason that they had Tom Brady's number?
Defense.
Pass rush.
The pass rush, right? Let me give you one name. Chase Young. Okay? Sunday night last week, Tom Brady is sitting next to his supermodel wife at home, okay, thinking, who do I want to win? If the Eagles win, I have to face the Giants, and I haven't done well against them in the playoffs. But then they're looking at it, he goes, well, if Washington wins, I'm going to have this guy Chase Young running around after me all day long trying to kill me. Well, Mr. Brady, let me introduce you to probably the best front four in the NFL. It was quoted on ESPN the other day. The Washington football team is the only team remaining in the playoffs whose defense can win the game by themselves. Okay? This team, yes, played in a putrid NFC East. But this is arguably the worst matchup for Tom Brady and the Bucs, okay? Tom Brady is great when he has time in the pocket. When you pressure Tom Brady is exactly what he is, old. He does not have mobility. He cannot escape the pocket. He cannot get around, okay? Washington's defense is going to put a lot of pressure on Tom Brady, okay? And yes, I agree that they're probably going to counter that by utilizing a good screen game and a good running game with Ronald Jones. But I still believe that Washington is going to be very formidable against the Buccaneers this weekend. I think a lot of people are writing them off, and I think in terms of offense, listen, it was already said by Ron Rivera, he's playing he's taking a page out of the Miami Dolphins book. Okay, he's running both Alex Smith and was it Heineke, I believe his name is. He's running them both out there. Okay, so don't be surprised if you see like hey, okay, this play come in, this play, it's gonna
I think
happen.
the Tampa defense would love to see Heineke come into the game even more so.
Hey, listen, Heineke, I'm just going to say, is more dynamic of a quarterback. I don't think he's as poised in the pocket. I don't think he belongs in the game, but I could see why he's doing that. He wants to do that in order to kind of, throw off, now here's the thing. When you have a quarterback you're going against, like if for argument's sake you're playing the Chiefs, you're game planning for Patrick Mahomes and only Patrick Mahomes. Okay? When you know and it's openly said that there's two quarterbacks, play the game, you have to game plan for both. You can't just discount one or the other because one is less talented than the other. But I still think that the Washington defense is going to pull this out. I think that they put a lot of pressure on Brady, and I don't see it. You have a lot of injured guys on that team. Evans is at 80, he's not at 100%, and I know they say that 80% of Evans is better than 100% of most, but there's a lot of injuries. There's a lot of injuries on that Buccaneers team, and I think Washington will definitely keep this close. Definitely.
And not to sell short Montez Sweat, Chase Young, or any of those guys, but remember one thing too: don't sell Tampa Bay's offensive line short. They have allowed the fourth fewest sacks in the NFL this year. They've done a pretty damn good job of keeping Tom Brady upright, and they're going to do it again tomorrow night.
Well, we shall see. But we are going to move to tomorrow, Sunday. Okay? We're going to move to Sunday. We are going to go now. First game here is going to be Baltimore versus Tennessee. Now, this is being pegged as the game of the weekend. I'm going to say it's the second game of the weekend. I'm biased. I don't care. So this game, it's all about the run game. You have, the Tennessee Titans, the AFC South champs, going against the wild card Baltimore Ravens team. It's in Tennessee. I mean, what do you really say about this game that hasn't been said already? I'm gonna leave it to let's see, Lou. You're covering the Ravens. What's Lamar Jackson gonna do this weekend?
So Lamar Jackson, when the Ravens were 6-5, for whatever reason, decided, you know what? I think I'm finally gonna play some football. His last 5 games, he's actually scored over 34 points 3 out of those 5 games. Okay, so Lamar Jackson has been on a mission to score and to win these games, and he won his last 5 games out to make it to the playoffs. Lamar Jackson also has 17 total touchdowns these last 5 games, including the run. So if we see the Lamar Jackson that's been playing these last 5 games, I think it's going to be extremely tough for this Tennessee defense to keep up with him, okay? He has 4 rushing touchdowns his last 5 games, and he has 13 throwing touchdowns his last 5 games. Lamar Jackson is on a mission. He is showing why he is the MVP these last couple of games last year, and I don't think that we're going to be relying on Dobbins or Edwards to really get the ball running. This is going to be the Lamar Jackson show against a Tennessee defense that's the top 10 worst in the NFL right now, okay? Now, discredit, the defense of the Ravens hasn't really been the best. Coming into the season, they were ranked one of the top 3 defenses in the league. But the only thing that the Ravens have over the Titans as far as offensive-wise is going to be Lamar Jackson's legs, okay? I think personally that Lamar Jackson is going to be running for close to 100 yards. I really think he's going to get this Titans defense working up. And honestly, you got to keep Derrick Henry off the field. Derrick Henry is the first 2,000-yarder in his franchise since Chris Johnson, right? To get over 2,000 yards for this Tennessee Titans defense, Tennessee Titans team. I really do think that in order for the Ravens to win this game, you get Lamar Jackson to get those scores for you, and you just got to keep Derrick Henry off the field. This guy is a beast. He's literally making memes out of people. He's made memes out of 3 or 4 people this year. So the Ravens, in order to win this game, have got to step up and play like the Ravens they have these last 5 games. And I think if they do, they win this football game with the spread, everything. And that's what I think about the Ravens.
All right. So, Billy, I'm sure you're going to tell him why he's wrong.
Well, the first thing I'm going to tell him is I'm not a sophomore girl in high school, so I'm not here to talk about memes. I'm here to talk about facts. And the fact of the matter is the last 2 times Derrick Henry has lined up across from the Baltimore Ravens, the last year's playoffs, 195 yards. Week 11 this year, 133 yards. So Derrick Henry is going to go out there and get the job done. And before all you do is concentrate on Derrick Henry, you have Ryan Tannehill, who threw for 33 touchdowns this year and had 2 receivers, and one in A.J. Brown that went over 1,000 yards, and Corey Davis just missed it at 985 yards. They get involved early and often. They're going to win this game. And Lamar Jackson has been great. But you know what? Look at the stats from week 11. Lamar Jackson ran for 51 yards. If they hold him to 51 yards tomorrow, this game's going to be over early. What you should have said is the only way Baltimore is going to win this game is if Hollywood Brown goes out there and exploits what is a very poor pass defense for Tennessee. But I think that Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, and the rest of this offense is going to do what they did in last year's playoffs and keep the other team's offense off the field, and that's how they're going to win this game.
All
right. So we're moving on to we're going down to New Orleans. We're going down to Louisiana. Billy, I mean, I know you're gonna lead us into this game. I know you gave your views a little earlier, so we're gonna ask you to keep those to yourself now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So Billy, lead us in.
We got the 8-8 number 7 seed Chicago Bears facing off against the number 2 seed 12-4 New Orleans Saints. I'm gonna head right out. I'm gonna leave my opinion out of it for now and hand it off to Lou and the Bears.
All right, guys. So the Chicago Bears have had a very, very interesting year. 8-8. They make the playoffs. And Mitch Trubisky went from being the starting franchise quarterback to losing his job to Nick Foles getting hurt, and then Mitch Trubisky showing why he deserves to be the Chicago's franchise quarterback. The last 5 games, Mitch Trubisky has thrown 4 out of his 5 games over 250 yards. He's thrown 5 touchdowns to Allen Robinson, and I really think that if we see that this Mitch Trubisky is playing the same way that he's been playing these last couple of games, it's going to be a lot closer than people think. Khalil Mack and this Bears defense is top 5 in sacks, is top 5 in the pass rush. It is going to be a very interesting game, especially with an injured Drew Brees, okay? Drew Brees is not the same Drew Brees he was when he won the Super Bowl over 10 years ago, okay? Drew Brees is old. Drew Brees is very similar to what Joe said. Once you rush him, he's very hard to get out of the pocket. It's going to be a lot closer than I think people think. And Mitch Trubisky, if he wants to keep his Chicago Bears quarterback starting job, has got to show that tomorrow. Do not count the Chicago Bears team out because they could possibly upset the New Orleans Saints by a lot, in my honest opinion.
All right. I mean, as usual, Lou's wrong, but I mean that's we've come to learn that on this show. Anyway,
yes, but I'm also number 1 in our picks of with the spread.
Listen,
so who's if I'm worse than you? What does that say?
I mean, even a garbage steak gets a steak twice a month.
Garbage can. Even a clock is right twice a day. All right,
exactly.
Go ahead.
Anyway,
Saints, go ahead.
Saints. So here's my thing: Saints right now, you have a matchup of the 4th best defense for the Saints versus the 7th worst offense in the Chicago Bears. They have come on, with David Montgomery, absolutely. This Saints defense plays different at home. This something we spoke about last week, that they really wanted that home field advantage throughout because this team at home plays different. Drew Brees, this is his swan song. He has already announced that he is going to retire at the end of the end of this year. He is going to, listen. It's still uncertain. It's still going to be a game time decision later for tomorrow, rather. What Michael Thomas is going to be. How is COVID going to affect these guys? All of their running backs were hit by COVID last week. Are they going to be clear to play this game? Vegas, listen. Let me give you the other reason why they're not going to, they're going to be successful. Vegas does not lay 10 points on someone that they think is going to be upset. Okay, it just doesn't happen. And then you have the 11th ranked, the Saints come in with the 11th ranked offense versus the 12th best defense of the Bears. It's definitely gonna be a matchup to watch. Yes, I agree. The same argument I had earlier about Tom Brady. Same thing goes into effect with Drew Brees. Okay, he's not mobile, but the difference between the Buccaneers and the Saints is one name: Taysom Hill. They have utilized him to the absolute best of their abilities. Okay, Taysom Hill has stepped in big time. We have not seen anything from obviously previous NFC South. NFC South quarterback Jameis Winston. I couldn't think of the name right there. I drew a blank. I'm sorry. I lewd it. Yeah, that's terrible. Anyway, I right now I think that the team last week, again, not a great game by them. Again, they were also hampered by injuries. I think that's going to be the big thing for the Saints is how are injuries and COVID going to affect these guys, and that's the biggest thing that's going to play into all of these matchups, and specifically the matchup we're going to get into next. Okay, that you guys are going to discuss. It's the Browns and the Steelers. Okay, so the Browns last week, broke the 18-year streak of missing the playoffs. Okay, they are going into Pittsburgh to face the 3 seed Pittsburgh Steelers, coming in at 12-4. Cleveland had a phenomenal season. Listen, you could say what we could all joke around about the paper bags over the head Browns, but they had a great season. I think Baker Mayfield took a next step forward, finishing with 11-5. It's going to be a rematch of last week, but there's going to be a few changes. Lou, I'm sorry, Billy, you're the away team. You're defending the Browns. What in the world do the Browns have to do to pull off the win 2 weeks in a row over the same team?
The Browns have to prove that they can get through this game without their head coach, without a number of assistant coaches, without some key players on offense and defense. And to be honest, there's nobody more this weekend in these 6 games that has more to prove than Baker Mayfield. And he has to go out there and play like that. Baker Mayfield has to go out there and play this game like he belongs in that top class of quarterback conversation that he claims he is. He needs to take this team on his back and go out there and play like a man on a mission. His offensive line, he's going to be down his left guard. They got to keep TJ Watt and these guys away from him, or this game's going to get ugly fast. If they establish their run with Chubb and Hunt, they can win this game. But it's going to be Baker Mayfield who's got to shoulder the load on offense and carry this team to what's going to be, I don't even want to use the word improbable, but unfortunately, that's what it looks like. This would be an improbable victory for the Cleveland Browns. And as far as their defense goes, they're going to be without Olivier Vernon, which is going to be a huge blow. But they need to go out there and play the game of their life, and they need to go out there and stop the short passing game of the Pittsburgh Steelers. If they don't do that, like I said, it'll be over early.
Yeah, it's funny, and just to kind of piggyback, and we're going to go into Lou, who's covering the Steelers. Lou, I saw a stat today that Deontay Washington, ever since being benched a few weeks ago, Deontay Johnson has not dropped a pass since. Yep. He was benched for drops. I think he's caught 50 straight passes or something like that. I'll try to find that stat, but
I think I read it was 36.
36. I knew it was something up there. But what do the Steelers have to do? They lost to this team last week. Where do we go from there?
So here's my opinion on this game. A lot of people do not like the Steelers for these playoffs because they were an 11-0 team that nobody gave credit to. Okay, they played easy games. They had easy matchups, and once they lost, everyone was like, that team was the worst undefeated team I've ever seen." One thing about the Steelers is that you can't look at the stats this year with them. They have nobody receiving wise over 1,000 yards. They have nobody rushing over 1,000 yards. Yet this team made the playoffs, got the 3rd seed, and honestly, the main person who's going to help this team to win, Mr. Big Ben himself, 2-time NFL champion, Super Bowl champion, Big Ben. Big Ben has played great football coming off of an injury that we weren't sure how he was going to perform from last year. If Big Ben can get this game going, like as Billy was saying, with the short passes, and honestly getting James Conner to get the ball moving a little bit, I think this game is going to be a lot more, I think it's going to be a lot lopsided than people think. I don't think Cleveland is ready for the playoffs. Between injuries, between Baker Mayfield having no experience, and the Steelers being ready for this game for 2 weeks now. Let's be for real. Last week's game against the Browns, they weren't into it 100%. All right, they benched Ben Roethlisberger on purpose. They benched a bunch of guys, and the Browns barely won this game 24-22 under Mason Rudolph. All right, so I think tomorrow the Steelers come out to prove a point that, you know what, we don't need the stats to show you guys that we can win these football games. Juju Smith-Schuster had only 850 yards receiving this year. He didn't have a Juju type of year, okay? But I can tell you tomorrow, I bet you see we see a lot of him tomorrow. We see a lot of Deontay Johnson tomorrow, and I think even James Conner gets the ball a good amount that they haven't been giving him as of lately. Because I think that the fact that this is also a rivalry game is even going to make these guys hungrier and hungrier even more. And the fact that they lost to them last week is going to even make them hungrier even more for this game. I think the Steelers blow out this Browns team tomorrow. I'm sorry. I am congratulating the Cleveland Browns and making the playoffs after 17 years, but I don't think it's your time. I still think you need a couple of pieces to even get through this AFC division in the first place.
You're talking about motivation. What about the motivation that the aforementioned idiot Juju Smith-Schuster gave the Cleveland Browns on Friday by saying they're
not a team that's ready?
I mean,
you know what? This guy is a classless idiot, and he just doesn't get it.
No, he definitely doesn't.
Between dancing on people's logos to shooting his mouth off for no reason. Like, there's an old saying that LaDainian Thompson lived by. Act like you've been there before. And this guy does not grasp that at all.
Yeah, I you know what, and we're going to get into our picks in a little bit. I think the most telling part of this whole thing is going to be Stefanski not being on the sideline. Just imagine as a team how deflating it is, playing all season for this guy. You've seen the team rally around him, and all for him not to be there because obviously for COVID reasons and whatnot. I think they're missing Bitonio as well.
He's their play caller. Stefanski's their play caller.
Yeah, it's
Alex Van Pelt.
Yeah, it's gonna be. They might as well have turned it over to Alex Prell at this point. It didn't. Same. It's close. Alex
or Mike
Prell.
Hart.
Alex Prell. No, let's not get crazy. Sorry, Mike. It's definitely Listen, between today and tomorrow, a lot of good games. In terms of the six playoffs, but we're gonna break it down. We have the bracket. I'm gonna share the screen right now. So we're all gonna as in typical lock faction, we are going to see who knows what they're talking about and who doesn't. Lou.
I have a better record than you. You can't say that until you have a better record than me.
I won last week.
You won 1 week. You're still not beating me in overall standings, brother.
I won last week.
Sure, don't make him put his Joff jersey on.
Yeah, don't even put my Joff jersey.
Yeah, Joff. Yeah, Joffe. He was watching The Dictator before this. Anyway,
coming to America.
Yeah.
By the way, does anybody notice that Joe does his eyebrows?
Oh my God!
Joey Brows.
Joey Brows in the house, baby.
Oh my God! I hate you both. I really do. I truly hate you both.
That's what we're here for.
I really.
People.
All right, so are we saying with the spread and without the spread? Is that what we're doing right now?
Let's do it out for right now. So let's do either of you have a pen and paper available by chance to jot these down?
I got it.
You got it. All right. So let's go through it. We're gonna start. Okay. We'll go AFC first. All right. So here we go. So Browns Steelers. Lou.
Oh, listen, for everything that I just said before, just experience alone, and because it's a rival game, I really like the Steelers. This is without the spread, right?
Correct.
I like the Steelers winning this football game.
Billy?
I got to take the Steelers in this one, but I will contradict Lou and say, even playing field without COVID, without all this nonsense, I think Cleveland would give this Pittsburgh team a better game than we're going to see.
Well, with that being said, I'm taking the Browns.
Of course you are.
Yeah, I'm taking
Right.
the Browns. I think of the two, I think to echo what Billy said, I think this is Baker Mayfield's game. I think this is the game where Baker Mayfield finally comes in and says, "I'm here. This is my team," and he's going to lead them into Pittsburgh. Listen, Lou, you said it. Pittsburgh, listen, the stats could show what they want. I think Juju Smith-Schuster gave them, the bulletin board, hype that they needed. They didn't need to get any more hyped up for this game. It's the playoffs, first game in 18 years. These guys are coming in ready to play. They know that their head coach is not going to be there. I'm sure he's going to have his say from somehow, some way, somehow Stefanski's going to have his handprint on this game. But I think the Browns win this game.
You know what the Browns remind me of, to bring up Baker Mayfield and continue on that topic. In the beginning of Eli Manning's career, he had a loudmouth on his team named Jeremy Shockey.
Sure
And
did.
the Giants went out and they got rid of Jeremy Shockey because they felt he was hurting Eli Manning's development. And Eli Manning, despite Joe's opinion, Eli Manning went on to have a stellar career.
Stellar. Stop it. You just lost all credibility in my eye.
He had a stellar career.
That's almost as bad as Lou saying that this year's Giants team was a 9 out of 10.
No, it
You
is not.
can't-
Successful rate. Yes.
Super
Stop.
Bowls on my side to back up
Stop
my point.
it. Yeah, and also
But my
more
point-
interceptions than touchdowns.
He does not have more interceptions and touchdowns career-wise, you jerk.
Yeah, he's terrible.
Look, I stopped there. I was about to call you something even worse.
Yeah,
I
whatever.
called you a jerk.
But
Yeah.
get back to my point. Is you look at this year the Cleveland Browns and
They
it's
got
like
rid of the cancer.
Yes.
They got rid of the cancer.
Odell Beckham went down, and what happened? Baker Mayfield took his play to another level. Does he have that next step to go even further in him this weekend?
I think he does. But let's move on to the next one. I know we're going to disagree on this game again, too, but whatever. Okay, we got the Colts and the Bills. You don't even need to ask me who I think is winning this game.
I'm just going to write it in right now. It's Joe with the Colts and me and Billy with the Buffalo
Yeah,
Bills.
you don't even need to ask me who is going to win this game. Listen. I think that they're going to keep Josh Allen off the field, and I think that Jonathan Taylor is going to go for 150 plus yards this game.
I think, as Billy said earlier, two of your possible MVP candidates, I think it's going to be really hard to stop Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs.
I'm throwing up a prayer. I'm throwing up a prayer, but it is what it is.
The Colts
listen,
had a great season. It ends today.
So I got a free jersey out of this. My team made the playoffs. Anyway.
No. I have on camera you saying that if both teams don't make it, because you were worried that the Colts were going to make the playoffs. If the team
Right,
if
both teams didn't make it. Yeah, right, but one team made the playoffs, so it's not.
You just answered your own question.
No. Both teams had to make the playoffs, is what I meant.
Oh,
For Joe
anyway.
to do it. No.
Boo.
New Jersey.
Anyway,
Forget
yeah,
your
The Buffalo Bills.
listen. I know I got a
be
jersey.
too much.
I got a
It's
jersey
gonna be
coming
too
from
much.
Boogie. I don't know if you guys are watching the other sport, but the 6 seed is definitely getting me a jersey this year. Anyway, sorry. Next, we're gonna go Ravens Titans.
I'm going to start this one for you guys. All the points that Billy said about the Titans, especially on the run game, it's really hard to not. Even though the Ravens were favorited, I really like the Titans beating this Baltimore Ravens team tomorrow. But if Baltimore continues to play the way they have, it's going to be an extremely close and very interesting game. But if you see the Lamar Jackson from 6 weeks ago compared to 5 weeks ago, this game is over by halftime.
Yeah, I like the Titans. I like the Titans big in this game.
Guys, last week on this show, I said last Monday we were going to have a lot of questions about Kyler Murray. This week, I'm telling you, we're going to have a lot of questions Monday morning about Lamar Jackson and why he can't win a playoff game, because Derrick Henry is going to take the Titans into the next round.
So, all right. So, with that being said, our second round matchups in the AFC are going to be a little bit different based on who we picked. So, for me, on my side, it's going to be Colts KC, and the other matchup is going to be the Browns versus the Titans. For you guys, okay, it's going to be let's see, you guys.
It's going to be the Chiefs versus
Chiefs Titans, and then Steelers Bills.
Correct.
Okay, so for me, I think as much as I'd love to be obnoxious and say that the Colts are going to go into Kansas City and win, that's where their season ends. It's going to end in Kansas City. I just Mahomes is got something special about him, and I just don't see it. And I think in that sense, I'm taking Tennessee to make it to the AFC Championship game as well. So for my AFC Championship game is going to be Tennessee versus KC. So I mean, Billy, you got Steelers Bills, as well as Lou. You have Steelers Bills as well. I mean, who do you got in that game? That's another rematch, and the Bills put a whooping on them.
They did. And if they play them again, they're going to put another whooping on them. This Bills team, I think, goes to the AFC Championship easily. I'm sorry, Joe. Like I said, I think they're going to mess up the Colts, and then they're going to play. They're going to take advantage of this Steelers. They threw Josh Allen threw all over this Steelers defense last time he was there. He flew close for over 400 yards against them. I like Buffalo going to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, Billy.
I am with Lou on this. Buffalo is going to exploit every hole on this Pittsburgh team on both sides of the ball.
All right, and then for you guys, the matchup is going to be Tennessee versus KC. I mean, that's a great game. You got to think Tennessee could possibly keep up with them. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's 1 and 2 in highest scoring offenses in the NFL.
Yeah. And you also got to remember, Joe, is that if that is your prediction, they literally played each other in the exact same game the year before.
Yep, absolutely. And well, we know who came out on that. Does the results remain the same, or does Tennessee figure something out to upset the Chiefs?
Unfortunately for the Tennessee Titans, it's going to be the next year, but the same result. Kansas City's going to win this game, and they're going to go on to face Buffalo in the AFC Championship game.
Lou?
You know what? I honestly think the Buffalo Bills are going to the Super Bowl this year, and the one reason why that I think...
So you just skipped over this last game?
What are you talking about?
Who's winning? Kansas City Titans.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was only you were saying that because that was yours.
No,
I'm sorry. If I had to pick Kansas City and Tennessee, I think Kansas City beats them.
All right, so for me, it's going to be Kansas City, Tennessee in the AFC Championship. For you guys, it's Kansas City, Buffalo.
Yeah.
You know what? Unpopular pick. I'm taking the Tennessee Titans to go to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Running game and defense. Running game and defense always reign supreme in the playoffs. And my thing is that Mike Vrabel is a very good coach, probably one of the most underrated coaches in the NFL. One of my favorite moments with him was playing actually against his old coach, Bill Belichick, and using Bill Belichick's own schemes against him and draining the clock and whatnot. Listen, Mahomes is great, and Mahomes is going to go on to win many, many, many championships. Okay, I prophesize many, but there's something about Tannehill and Derrick Henry this year. They are playing like men possessed. I believe that Henry should be in the MVP talk, but because he's not a quarterback, he's not going to be mentioned. He's probably going to finish 5th on the list behind, Mahomes, Rodgers, Mahomes, Josh Allen, and possibly even, Watson. Okay, Watson could possibly get some MVP talk, but because his team didn't make the playoffs,
you
may not see it.
Right.
But I got the Tennessee Titans going to the Super Bowl. I mean, I know that's not possible for you two because you got Chiefs Bills, but who do you guys got going to the Super Bowl for representing the AFC?
Well, I might as well continue to say it since I already said it. I think we see an upset here in the Buffalo Bills beating the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm going to tell you one reason why. defense, okay? The Buffalo Bills have been the most complete football team in the last 6 weeks. They have shown that they can score 50 points a game and only give up 10 to 20 points a game. This team, like I just said, is the most complete team in football at the moment. I would love for Buffalo, and as a New Yorker too, for Buffalo to represent the AFC Championship this year.
I mean, that would be great for us. I mean, and, as far as the network and everything. But yeah, I mean, Billy, do you agree, or do we have three? Do we have three different teams going to the Super Bowl for the AFC?
No, we do not. Kansas City is going home via the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo has played way too good. They are a team locked in. They remind me a bit of Kansas City last year, and just you look at them, and they're playing on a different level.
Billy, you're around the same age as I am. Lou, you're a little bit younger, so does this Buffalo Bill team, even though I got them losing, later on today, does this Buffalo Bill team remind you of that powerhouse Buffalo Bill team, with Jim Kelly in the early 90s, who was an offensive juggernaut, made it to 4 consecutive Super Bowls, won none of them, but that's a feat in itself.
I'll tell you right now, and this could be an unpopular opinion with anyone in Buffalo that's watching, I'm sorry, I'm not going to take it back. This Buffalo offense is better.
Yeah, there's without question, the stats back that up. All right, so we have...
Real quick, though. My thing with the Buffalo Bills this year is that if they do beat the Kansas City Chiefs, you can almost guarantee that next year the Chiefs sign somebody big to get him to play with Pat Mahomes so they don't lose to this Buffalo team again. That's why I think...
But I don't think they need him. I don't think. Listen, I think if they lose to them, I think it's gonna be a shootout. When anyone can lose a shootout. Here's my thing: what's one position you could really say on the Kansas City Chiefs that's saying like, oh my God, it's a glaring, fault. Listen, you could say the Buffalo Bills they need to fix their interior defense. Yeah, I mean you could always add a couple of pieces, but to say that the Chiefs are going to be one big piece away from beating a Bills team, I think is I don't see.
No, if they lose is what I'm saying, because
I think that's just being shot. I think that's shotgunning.
I disagree. There is no glaring need on that team. I got news for you also. The salary cap ain't going up that much, if it goes up at all next year after all the revenue losses by the owners this year. So with Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, Mahomes, these contracts in there, they don't have room to do something like that.
You need the Sammy Watkins. You need the Sammy Watkins to start playing. If he actually plays, you need the Sammy Watkins to perform like he did 5 years ago.
I mean, listen. But even if Watkins doesn't perform, I think you got McCole Hardman. You got McCole Hardman. You got Robinson. You got Robinson. I mean, supposedly they're getting back Edwards-Helaire back for the playoffs. Le'Veon Bell. He really hasn't, he's proven that he's been a complete bum.
He's been a disappointment this year for me.
I didn't think he was going to do anything with the Chiefs. Honestly, I think that was just him ring chasing.
Guys, every team we've eliminated so far needs somebody to step up the following year and play better.
100%.
It's human nature.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen. We're going to look at these games, and when they're said and done, we're going to find 5 more holes that we didn't even talk about today on them. Yeah, but that's just how it goes. The bottom line comes down to the Buffalo Bills are the best football team in the AFC right now, and that's why they're going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl.
Well, we got our AFC. Let's work on the NFC now. All right, we're going to start with let's go in reverse order. We'll start with today's game. Tonight's 8:00 game. We have the Tampa Bay Bucks going against the Washington football team. I'll start this one. I'm taking Washington. No surprise here. I just think that this is the exact matchup Tom Brady did not want. Tom Brady did not want to go against a young, ferocious defense that can force him to make a quick... Listen, Tom Brady has to get rid of the ball and get rid of it fast. I think the player to watch, if I am the Washington football team, is not going to be Evans. It's not going to be Godwin. He is going to be the Amendola for this team. It's going to be Scotty Miller. Okay, Scotty Miller has taken on that Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, underneath routes, to kind of be the out route for Brady. I think that's going to be one thing that they have to look for. But I like no surprise here. I like Washington.
Joe, I'm going to disagree with you, and I'm going to tell you why that Tom Brady wants to play against this defense. Because they're young, because they're inexperienced, because they're going to overdo everything, I think, in today's game. I like Tampa Bay. I think they're going to destroy this team. And I'm sorry, defense can only get you so far in the playoffs, baby. And they have no offense to support them. Alex Smith to McLaurin. I can't see this team score. The Buccaneers defense isn't that bad. They're actually pretty good. So they're going to have trouble scoring, and Tom Brady is going to show why he's the best quarterback ever, and show why he's the GOAT, and destroy this young Washington football team tomorrow.
Billy?
I'm going with Tampa Bay. And, Joe, you proved my point for me without me even having to do it. You mentioned their fourth wide receiver. What about the first three, who would be the number one on probably any other team in this playoffs aside from Devontae Adams? This team is stacked. Tom Brady is ready. This man is on a mission to show Belichick needed him. He didn't need Belichick.
I agree. And also,
let's hold on, stop. I'm gonna stop the train on that right now. Okay, he didn't exactly go to the New York Jets. Okay, he picked arguably probably one of the most stacked teams. Do not forget, Jameis Winston threw 40 touchdowns and 4,000 yards with this exact same team last year. Okay,
yeah,
so that's fine. He makes bad decisions, but let's not forget that he went to a team that was very well maintained. Okay, and then you add in the fact, that he brings down Gronkowski with them to add to that. But he didn't exactly go to a inept offense. Let's just put it at that.
And who in his position would have?
Exactly, but that's why I'm saying so. I'm not saying he did.
Any one of us in that position would have done
100%. But the whole, he doesn't need Belichick. Belichick doesn't need him. That argument doesn't really, for me, it doesn't hold, because it's
the only question I'm going to ask you to end this right now is, what has Belichick done without him? Absolutely nothing.
You know what? Listen to me. I've learned a long time ago. Belichick is always playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. I've learned that a long time ago about that man. But let's go on to the next game.
That was a long time past, though.
Yeah, next game with going from one old quarterback. I feel like we're on the Geritol side of the bracket over here. We're going to Drew Brees and the Saints taking on Mitchell Trubisky and the Bears. Billy, I know you're already calling for an upset here. Are you going as much as to say that the Bears win this matchup?
I'm taking the Chicago Bears.
Wow.
I just feel that the Bears, they're playing great football right now, and they got something to prove. And I don't think that the Saints have it in them. Remember what happened the last time Drew Brees went into the playoffs off an injury, came off flat and lost. It's unfortunate. The guy's had a hell of a career. I'm a fan. I'll always be a fan, but it's going to end at the hands of the Chicago Bears.
Okay. All right. I mean, Lou, do you agree?
I don't think it's his time just yet. I think this is a warm-up matchup for the New Orleans Saints. Do I think actually, we'll talk about that after. I think the Bears make it close, but I think the New Orleans Saints pull this game off. Listen, you still got Drew Brees. You still got Michael Thomas. You still have Mr.
You don't
Alvin
know if
Kamara.
you have Michael Thomas, and you haven't had Michael Thomas all year. He's done nothing.
Which is exactly why it's time for playoffs. You need a big name like Michael Thomas in that lineup.
Let's see if he can do what he hasn't done all year, and that's a big part of the reason I'm taking the Chicago Bears in this game.
I like Alvin Kamara tomorrow running all over this team. The only thing that's going to keep this team, honestly, it's not going to be Mitch Trubisky. It's going to be the Bears defense, and I think the Saints still pull it off. I think the Saints lose the following week.
I think the only thing that's going to stop the Saints is COVID. I think that's really, last week, whatever. Listen, the Bears really impressed me last week. They played the Green Bay Packers tough. They knew that they had everything to play for. They weren't scoreboard watching. They knew that they had to, they had to handle their own.
They've done it the whole second half of the year. It wasn't just last week.
No, I get it, and here's why I'm agreeing with Billy. is David Montgomery. They have really put the ball in Montgomery's hands, and it's a different team. I think that the inclement weather is taken out of the fact of playing in the dome. It's going to be the swan song for Drew Brees. I don't want it to be. Neither does the NFL. Because I'll be honest with you, the NFL this weekend, I'll tell you right now, they are rooting for the Saints and they're rooting for the Seahawks. Because what more would they want than next week to have TB12 versus AR12 in Green Bay? Okay,
that could very well easily be the NFC Championship game too.
Well, I mean, depending on the playoffs, it might not be. It might be next week.
Right.
But yeah, I actually.
I mean, the elephant.
You know what? I agree with you. I think they cover. I think the Saints still pull out the victory. We're not going by spread. I think the Saints still pull out the victory.
Let me tell you one thing also, real quick, before we move on. If you guys saw the stat that when the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Saints this year, it was the first time that the New Orleans Saints allowed over 100 yards rushing in 56 games. That's over 3 years that they haven't allowed 100 yards or more in a game. Was that first game against Philadelphia a couple of weeks ago? If we see that same rush defense tomorrow, David Montgomery is going to be shut down.
You have to, but that stat is a little skewed.
You have to make up your mind because 3 minutes ago you just told us the Washington football team couldn't win the game on defense alone, and now you're going to say that the Saints can.
I said no. That's to stop the Bears' offense. I think the Bears. I think that in order for the Bears to win, they need their defense to stop Drew Brees. But I think Drew Brees is going to throw all over these guys tomorrow.
I think that stat's a little miscued, though. Here's my thing.
Drew Brees hasn't thrown all over anybody all year. And
it's playoff time.
You're talking about You're talking about the last 3 years. The Saints have been one of the highest scoring offenses the last 3 years. So most of the time they're up big on these games, which by default causes the other team to get to abandon their run game. So I mean that. Yes, impressive 3 years, but a little skewed. But let's move on to the next one. This game here, this one is really, it's a super toss-up for me. 3 weeks ago, my representative for the Super Bowl was playing in this game. I'm not as confident right now, but we got Seattle and the Rams. Billy. You had to pick the Rams on that one. Though. I did. I had the Rams going to the Super Bowl without question. I had the Rams playing in the Super Bowl 3 weeks ago. Now with Goff, depending on who you ask, with his injury, okay, I'm not as confident. I think they caught the right matchup this weekend. I have no faith in the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle last week had everything to play for, and they just laid an egg. Laid an absolute egg. They played awful last week, okay? They came out super flat. Russell Wilson does not seem to have it. You're talking about a team that needs to add a piece. Yes, DK Metcalf and TJ Lockett are great pieces. Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde have been serviceable. They've been very good. But there's just something missing with this team, and I just do not see them winning this game. I think LA wins this game, even with Goff hurt, and I think they win it convincingly.
I don't know about that, Joe. I don't know. What do you think, Billy?
I'm going with Seattle. I think if there's anybody that can go out there and teach their team a lesson off a flat game like last week, it's Pete Carroll. And I think he's going to bring a team in there that is going to come in there, and they're going to play well at home, and they're going to win the game.
I think you see a different Russell Wilson than you saw the last couple of weeks. I think it's game time tomorrow. The Rams and the Seahawks always play each other tough. I think Russell Wilson and the Seahawks take the victory tomorrow.
All right. So now we're going to go into the the divisional round. Okay. So for me,
Joe, you have the Rams.
So it's going to Rams go
against the Packers.
Rams Packers. Okay, and I'm going to have Saints Washington. Let's go, and then for you guys, for Billy, you have a rematch of last week. It's going to be Bears Green Bay, and then Seattle Tampa Bay.
Right.
Okay. I'll start with mine. I think Green Bay takes care of LA and home. I think they have the ultimate home field advantage in Lambeau. In terms of the other one, I think Washington's sending everyone to the nursing home. They send home Tom Brady week 1. They are sending home the New Orleans Saints and Drew Brees in week 2, and they're gonna and I think Washington makes it to the NFC Championship game.
Joe, you're crazy, bro. I don't know what you're smoking.
Wow.
What are you smoking?
I'm nothing. I really, this team is the first time I've seen a defense that reminds me of the 2000 Baltimore Ravens.
Whatever they put in the chemicals on your eyebrows clearly screwed your brain up.
Very funny. Very funny.
I'm going to go next, and I'm going to tell you, Green Bay in Chicago. Green Bay. I mean, we mentioned a few minutes ago chess and checkers. Aaron Rodgers is playing chess at everybody's checkers game, and there's no doubt about it. That man, he's on a different level. The haters, they've invigorated him. They picked another quarterback. It invigorated him. He's going out there with Devontae Adams, and they're going to beat Chicago probably pretty easily. And then we have Tampa Bay and Seattle. You know what? Again, Seattle's going to show up for the playoffs, and they're going to but Tom Brady's going to win that game too. They're going to go in there, and they're going to show Seattle that Bruce Arians is one step closer to his prediction. So we're going to go. I'm going with my NFC Championship game of Green Bay and Tampa Bay.
So you're still getting TB12, AR12.
Right, he still gets that matchup.
Yep.
I don't get that. Actually, no, I do get that matchup. I get that matchup the following week. So I get Green Bay against Tampa, and then I get Seattle and the Saints. I think Green Bay takes that win over. I think AR12 beats TB12, and I really like Green Bay even going to the Super Bowl. But I'm going to tell you, I think Drew Brees' last game is going to be against the Seattle Seahawks. I think Seattle is good enough to take this team to the NFC Championship game. I just don't think Seattle's good enough to beat Green Bay. I don't think any NFC team is good enough to beat Green Bay. Their defense alone has stepped up big. The last 8 weeks of the year, it's always been about Aaron Rodgers and the offense, and they have been shutting teams down. In my opinion, there's no more complete team in the NFC than the Green Bay Packers.
All right. I mean, so let's get to the NFC Championship game. All right. So I have Green Bay, Washington. You got Billy. You got Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and Lou incorrectly has Green Bay, Seattle. So I mean, let's go. Well, I guess I'll go because I have the most outlandish one. Right. This is where it ends. This is where the fairy tale season ends for the Washington football team.
Do you think Alex Smith is going to the NFC Championship game this year? Is crazy.
Okay, so can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
In 2000, if I would have told you Trent Dilfer was going to win you a Super Bowl, would you have called me crazy then too?
No, because the Ravens
Why not?
defense had a lot more experience than this Washington football team.
I don't care. This Washington defense causes chaos. Causes chaos and is coached well by Ron Rivera. Okay? I think a lot of people are not giving Ron Rivera his due. Okay? He is going to lead this team, and he is ready. Okay? He is ready. He has a team that he feels. And here's the thing. Alex Smith, like he did with the Niners, like he did with KC, is a game manager. He is not going to sit there and take unnecessary risks. He's not going to do what Andy Dalton did last week with the Cowboys, with a chance to win the game and just throw it up in the end zone, giving the Giants a win. He's not going to do that. He's going to play smart. Okay, and that's why I think that they can get to the NFC Championship game if the matchups. Here's the thing: they're catching the two oldest quarterbacks in the NFL, two quarterbacks that can't run. So what do? They pin their nose down and just rush the quarterback. But here's the thing: Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to get out of the pocket, and I think it's going to be the Tennessee Titans versus the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl this year.
Wow. Okay, Billy.
As the only person on this panel not inhaling toxins at the moment, I'm going to give you Green Bay and Tampa Bay in the NFC Championship game, and it's going to be the matchup everyone wants to see. But I got to tell you, like I've been saying it since we started this bracket, Aaron Rodgers is just playing on a different level right now. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, that three-headed monster at running back. Green Bay Packers are going to the Super Bowl in the NFC to face the Buffalo Bills.
And I agree with Billy on that too. I think, like I was just saying, I think the Packers are the best team in the NFC. But the only thing I think Billy and I have different is the Super Bowl champions, and that's what we're all going to get to right now, right? So, Joe, you have Tennessee and Green Bay in the Super Bowl. Who wins the Super Bowl then if it's Tennessee against Green Bay?
This is legitimately a tough one. I know it probably on paper doesn't seem to be a tough matchup, but this is a tough matchup. And I'm going to go against the grain. I really do believe, I truly believe the Tennessee Titans will be lifting the Lombardi Trophy this year.
Wow.
I just think there's something about Tannehill. And listen, guys, this is someone in my division, so it pains me to say this, okay? But there is something about Derrick Henry. He, like you said earlier, he is a man on a mission. You know, Corey Davis and A.J. Brown with Tannehill, they are playing lights out. They are the either one or two scoring team in the NFL. I really, really, really believe that the Tennessee Titans are lifting the Lombardi Trophy, and they beat the Green Bay Packers in what's probably one of the most memorable Super Bowls we see in a very long time.
All right, that's fair. Listen, Billy and I have the same Super Bowl Super Bowl teams in Buffalo and Green Bay. The only difference is that I think Buffalo wins the Super Bowl. I think if this is going to be the year that Buffalo wins, it's going to be this one. You have everything you need. You have the coaching. You have the all-star quarterback. You have the all-star and wide receiver. You could do a little bit better in the backfield, but you know what? David Singletary has proven again and again that he can block for Josh Allen, that he can actually run the ball when it's necessary. The secondary on this team is pretty good too. It's going to be a very interesting game if it is Packers versus Buffalo. I just think I think Buffalo is more of a complete team than the Green Bay Packers are.
Billy?
We're looking at who I say right now are the two best teams in the NFL, Green Bay and Buffalo. But
Agreed.
I'm going to apologize to my friends in Buffalo right now because I got to tell you, the Green Bay Packers are winning the Super Bowl. They are the best team in football. They are going to show you what you want to be. And Buffalo's going to take a lot from it. And, they're going to be back. And they're going to win one with this team they have now, but it's not going to be this one. This is going to be the Green Bay Packers year.
And somewhere Ernesto is running around the streets chanting, "We're the champions."
Green Bay, yeah, he's shirtless right now.
He's shirtless right now, somewhere delivering a truck.
Joe, how many total points do you think the Super Bowl is going to be?
You know what? The one I'm predicting with Green Bay and
Tennessee?
Green Bay and Tennessee, I think it's going to be a real shootout, man. I'm going to say 60 plus. Okay, I'm talking like an absolute. There will be no defense in that game. This is going to just be who has the ball last. Don't even worry about bringing out the weekend for the halftime show. No one wants to see it anyway. Let's just keep it moving. And I think that I think that's going to be, like I said, I think it's going to be one of the best Super Bowls we've seen in a very long time. And listen, I think if it plays out to be the one that you guys are predicting as well, Bills, Green Bay, and I think that's still going to be a phenomenal. I don't think we're wrong with any of those teams that we got. We all went different routes to get to those Super Bowls, but I think that we can say that the best teams are alive and kicking, and just what and.
I can't believe
we're a half hour.
None of us have the Chiefs.
No, we're a half hour away from kickoff right now. It's gonna happen, man. The playoffs are gonna start. This is where people's legacies are made. Dynasties have begun. It's definitely gonna be. So we're gonna end the show. Let's end it in typical lock fashion. Okay. What is the one lock you can say this weekend? What is the one thing that you, more than anything, are absolutely certain of is going to happen this weekend? So, Billy, I'm gonna let Billy start because he's
I already know what Joe's is. We already know what Joe's is.
I don't think you do. I don't think you do.
No, I don't think you're talking about the Colts.
Yeah, then maybe you do.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. All right, so Billy, what is your lock?
Billy, what's your lock?
I'm sorry, buddy. Tom Brady sending the Washington football team home.
It looks like we're gonna be going
That's
against
what
each
Joe
other.
was going to say the opposite of.
Yeah,
Exactly
it's-
right.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, my lock is the Washington football team sends home Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
Man, this is tough. You know what? I think my lock this week is the Seattle Seahawks beating the LA Rams.
Yeah,
I
we
really-
all failed.
Look, if you could
We all stayed NFC. We all stayed away from the. We stayed
Yeah,
away
hell
from the.
no.
Yeah,
Hell
that-
no,
listen,
no.
those three AFC. Listen, I feel like this weekend the NFC games are a little bit easier to pick than those three AFC games. You got one AFC game, which is a division game, and then you have in the Colts, Bills, and Ravens, Titans. Those games can go either way. There's no right or wrong answer. Like I said, no one's going to look at you sideways or crooked by you picking,
exactly.
one or the other in those games. Some people may look at, Billy crazy by saying, "Oh, the Bears are going to beat the Saints." But he brought up great points. That's the beauty of the show, and that's the beauty of sports is everyone is entitled to their own opinion and everything.
I thought Lou's lock was going to be that he was going to pronounce Jared Goff correctly by the end of the show. I was just looking for that.
That's pushing it. Hey, listen, the one lock is that Joe's eyebrows are on fleek.
Oh my God, you guys are idiots. You really are. You guys are idiots. Anyway.
Joey Brow's in the house, baby.
Yeah, Joey Browse. I'll give you Joey Browse. All I know is you guys both better answer your phone at 4:00 tomorrow. 4:00 tomorrow.
Absolutely.
I'm so
4:00
excited for this.
today.
I'm so excited for this game in about 30 minutes that you guys better be answering your at 4:00 today. Well, you know what? Answer your clock at 4:00 tomorrow too, because I might call you after Tennessee beats Baltimore.
Actually, Joe, get ready expect a phone call like 1:30 after Tampa Bay's up by 14 at the half. How about that? About Tampa Bay's up 14 at the half.
Tampa Bay plays at 8:00 tonight. You dummy.
Oh, I'm talking about Tampa Bay with Washington. I'll call you at 9:30 when Tampa Bay is up 14-0 at the half.
Yeah, okay. You better pray that they don't score first.
Right.
Brady is having right now. Giselle is home, like deep tissue massaging him just to like calm him down because he's having nightmares of Chase Young running after him tonight. It's crazy.
One thing that we are going to do tonight after the Tampa Bay Washington game is we are going to come back to you live for a post game wrap up to go over today's highlights and maybe a little more info on tomorrow's games as well.
Correct.
And I'm going to sit here and gloat about the Colts beating the Bucs.
Or cry about
the Bills.
About the Bills beating the Colts.
Hey, listen, if we lose, I'm supposed. Here's the thing. If we lose, I'm supposed to lose.
Oh, stop it. That's the wrong mentality.
The one thing I can guarantee you about our post-game show tonight is Joe Algieri will find some way to pat himself on the back no matter who.
100%. You know what? The Washington football team lost, but you know what? They played a good game. Or you know what? The Indianapolis Colts lost, but you know what? They gave a Bills a run for their money. That's exactly what he's going to say.
He's either going to be gloating or handing out participation trophies, but it's going to be one or the other.
I mean, that's kind of what I do. That's kind of my thing. Don't mess around with it. All right.
Right. Yep,
Don't take away my thunder.
God. You're right.
Guys, on behalf of myself, Joe Algieri, Lou DiMartino.
You're Joe Algieri, and that's Billy Punch.
Yeah, I'm shot. I'm so like. Listen to me. We are ready. We're ready to go. This is not a Giants jersey. This is blue. This is the only blue. Okay, it's Colts blue, Indianapolis blue. Okay, I bleed blue.
Congratulations to Phillip Rivers. He got his 10th kid. Congratulations.
Hey, listen, whatever. He's starting his own franchise. Okay. But yeah,
San Diego Rivers.
That's it. The San Diego Rivers. It's the franchise. It's what is it? But anyway, behalf of myself, Lou DiMartino, Billy Punch. Make sure you catch Billy. His new show debuting January 19th, 8 p.m. Tuesday night. Fire it up, Billy. Can't wait to see it. I've heard great things about it. We're actually going to send you off with the new logo, the new intro for them. So yeah, guys, listen, playoff football.
Have fun, drink responsibility.
Everybody enjoy the day.
30 minutes.
Let's
Here we
go, Giants!
Oh my God.
Enjoy the games, and we'll see you down the road.
Yes, sir.